Hey everybody, day 3, Breakfast with Bob. My name is Bob Babbitt. We're in beautiful Nice, France. We're brought to you by Velofix, Polar, UCAN, Active, Premium Plus Sports Travel, and we're at Hotel West End. Our next guest, representing, look at a whole list of sponsors, including Challenge Athletes Foundation, Mr. Rob Balucas, and we're here basically in the 4th anniversary of your crash.
Yesterday,
yeah. 4-year anniversary.
Yeah, kind of wild.
What? And you were doing triathlon before you were injured.
Yeah, I was at best a middle of the pack age grouper.
But you loved it.
I loved it.
Yeah,
it kept me fit, sane, and out of trouble.
And you were involved with Golden Gate Tri Club, and you were sort of running the website and all that type of stuff.
I had an ambitious 5 triathlon plan for that year. And we had done Wildflower, and then my training group said, "What do we do next?" Like, let's do Santa Cruz half.
Right.
And so we jumped into it and got right back into training and was ready to do it. And the weekend before, September 5th, we were on our last training ride, and I crashed on a really infamous hill in Marin's, Lucas Valley Road.
And there's a lot of shadows out there, aren't there?
There's a lot of shadows. The way I say it, there's some back and forth that kind of lull you in going downhill, and there's one sharp one. And it's literally where everybody crashes. And I was
you were a victim of that.
Victim of that.
You went right off the road.
Lost control on one turn, and on the next turn I didn't have control of my bike to make the turn. I watched the double yellow lines go like this, and you
went straight.
I said, "This is it. This is where I pay my dues as a cyclist."
Oh my. And when what do you remember of the crash?
I knew I was going to crash. I don't remember flying through the air, and I don't remember landing on the ground, but I knew I landed hard on my back because I didn't have any road rash from rolling. I was 20 feet down the hill when I... So basically you didn't tumble, you just landed. I landed hard, which the doctor said that makes sense because I had an L1 burst fracture, and they said for someone as dense as me to burst a vertebrae like that so low on my back takes an immense amount of energy. I
like how they use the word dense. Someone as dense as you. That makes you feel, not that you don't feel bad enough.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, for someone as dense as you, that's a trick.
Not only are you dumb enough to fall off the mountain, you're also dumb enough to land on your back so hard.
And what awareness did you have of people in chairs? Had you any friends or relatives who were doing any hand cycle racing or anything like that?
I think like a lot of people, I had CAF in my periphery, being in our sport, being in the sport. However, never really.
Yeah. Oh, of course, that didn't relate. Yeah. So when you find out you're paralyzed, right, is the first thought, okay, prove them wrong, I'll be back walking?
Well, what happened was I was in the hospital, and I think at that time I was pretty ambitious. I'm going to walk, and then all my friends did the Santa Cruz half Ironman. They were sending me pictures, and they used Sharpies to make tattoos of themselves, on themselves to dedicate the race to me, and it was awesome. And I was like, I'm going to be out there in a year.
Yes.
And I'm going to be walking again. I'm going to do this triathlon.
Right.
A year from now.
Right.
And as time went on, it was like, okay.
Reality.
Maybe not walking.
Right.
However, I'm still going to do a triathlon in a year.
And what did you know in terms of, okay, you need a roadie. If being a triathlete is bad enough, right? But when you're a para-triathlete and you need to go to a race, I need my regular everyday chair.
Yeah.
I need my hand cycle. I need my racing chair. I need my race wheels. I mean, it's a Sherpa. You need a Sherpa.
My joke was in the hospital. I got on my iPad and got on the Google.
Yeah.
And one of the first images I came across was an infamous one of Carlos Moleda on the race chair in Kona, and that's where it started. I said, okay, I need one of these.
You need a race chair.
I need a hand cycle.
Yeah.
And this is how it starts, and this is what that stuff costs.
Yeah, and I'm sure you go, my insurance guys will take care of this. No,
I pretty much knew it was going to be a pretty penny.
Yeah. And people, don't realize a hand cycle is $5K and up.
Yeah,
racing chair and up, right?
Yeah.
Racing chair is basically the same, 3, 5, and because these are custom built, they have to be specific to you, Mr. Dense Guy. They have to be, go, right?
Yeah. In fact, I'm already on my second race chair.
Yeah.
Because the first one was just fitted wrong, and it was so wide that it robbed me of power.
I'm sure, and then your arms are way out. There's you can't get any power at all.
You can't get any leverage to get power.
Right. And getting in the hand cycle for the first time compared to getting on your bicycle, how hard was that?
It was wild. I know I was at an organization called BORP in Berkeley.
And
they let you take them out for free, and I was on the bay in Berkeley riding by the water, and it was just kind of wild.
But being free again, because that's one thing I hear over and over again.
Yeah.
all of a sudden you go from being independent guy, if I'm going to get up and I'm going to go here, to, or just like coming here to the hotel today. Here's stairs, right? And here's more stairs. The whole world is inaccessible, especially in foreign countries.
And you learn a whole new level of patience.
Totally, because you have to be the first one on the plane. You have to be the last one off. Even if you've got a connection, nobody cares.
Coming here, we had 3 flights.
3 connections.
Yeah, so.
And then you've got to find the elevator, right, in every airport to get to that next level. It's a different game. You can't just, I'll just get in the escalator.
They had a whole vehicle in Germany, classic German engineering. They had a whole vehicle that lifted the entire vehicle up to let us, a guy with a cane and us in wheelchairs, onto the plane. Kind of like the one that takes all the snacks and food.
Yes.
And it came up and actually went sideways and then came into the plane. It was hilarious.
Yeah, you learn patience. And then when you first started on the hand cycle, when you got your own hand cycle, that had to be pretty cool.
It was amazing. I was ironically at the CAF
San Diego Triathlon Challenge?
No, I was at the CAF.
The camp.
Camp. And they actually delivered it direct there because I was coming in for the camp. And
from San Francisco.
And the timing was so tight. And luckily, when I got there, the guys had put it together for me.
Yes.
And I saw it for the first time in San Diego and got to ride it that day. And it was just awesome. And awesome to be around Carlos Moleda. And
5-time Ironman world champion in the hand cycle.
And I had a roommate who was, I'm not sure how many, a veteran.
Yes.
Hand cyclist, Ironman. And, I just learned a ton immediately.
And the technique on a hand cycle, right? And a racing chair, but it's so technique driven to know exactly. And in the past, there was really no way to measure wattage, to do lactate testing for hand cycles. Totally different. It's an upside down bicycle.
Yeah.
So you really couldn't create any type of technology to take care of that until Rolf, who's Carlos's longtime coach, basically created an upside down trainer.
Yeah.
And that made a huge difference for you.
Oh, huge. I mean, I started training with them in November of last year.
Yeah.
And that was my CAF grant, was coaching with
Carlos,
Nexus, with Carlos and Ralph. And we do lactate testing to see where our aerobic threshold is. And I know all these big words now. And it's been amazing. I mean, by numbers, in the first 5 months or so, my aerobic capacity went up 30%.
And just having those numbers, that keeps you pumped.
It lets you know.
Yeah.
And I can feel it in the water. In the water, the swim is the hardest part for me. And in the water, in training, I can feel it. I do open water swimming at home.
Yeah.
I can get across the lake, and I get to the other side or this other point, and I go, I'm good.
Yeah.
Where before I was kind of huffing and puffing, needed a second.
So because the deal is, if you're totally wiped by the time you get out of the water, then especially on a course like this here in Nice, where you've got a 15% grade, you've got to get out of the water feeling like, okay, that was just a little cocktail weenie. Now I'm ready I'm not even breathing hard.
Yeah.
Now I'm starting the effort.
Yeah, the water for this, for me in half Ironman, any half Ironman, it's just to get out of the water with like not easily, but with
as least effort as humanly possible.
I'm not trying to kill it in the water.
No. Now, have you been on this course?
No, not yet.
Oh, it's flat and fat. See, whatever problem. Yeah, there's no climbing. There's no technical turns.
What's ironic is being a San Francisco rider. Originally love hills, eat hills.
Yeah.
And people who only like flats or flat races, I go,
crap. Now you're one of those guys.
Then I did one. Then I did one in a hand cycle. Yeah, I did one in a hand cycle and went, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
maybe flat would be all right.
Do so many hills.
Yeah, it's tough enough just doing this stuff.
Yeah.
The transition, and we talk, the hand cycle has allowed a lot of paralyzed folks an opportunity to get outside and ride. The racing chair is an acquired taste. The racing chair is, you are shoehorned into the most uncomfortable thing that was ever created on the planet. And then you've got to try to go, you've got to race in it.
Yeah.
How hard has that been? Because again, being dense a little bit, right? It's that, and when it starts to go up a little bit, racing chair is not that much fun.
There's ironically, one of my sponsors is an arborist. They sell equipment to arborists, and
what the hell's an arborist?
An arborist, people who cut down trees or shape up trees and whatnot. Okay. What's hilarious is that Carlos said on hills in a race chair, what you need are work gloves.
Right.
And you take off your paddles and you put on work gloves, literally in the middle of Kona. He will do this and put on work gloves to do the hills.
So he'll carry gloves with him.
With him, and I didn't get it. It surprised me too. And you just pull yourself up sometimes backwards because if you go forward, you'll turtle if you're on a hill.
Right.
And,
that's right.
Most hilarious thing when Carlos said that, I called my sponsor and I said, "Oh my gosh, your arborist gear is going to work for me in Ironman. Send me some gloves." And in a week, I had branded gloves, and I joke with them. I put them on my Instagram. I'm like, hey, I got relevant equipment from one of my sponsors, which is pretty hilarious.
And Carlos is like, hey, those gloves are pretty sweet.
Exactly what you need.
You need some of these. Yeah. And so, how often are you testing? You're hearing from Carlos all the time. He's doing training programs for you.
Yeah, he's great. It's one of the most amazing things is the community of CIF that I've become a part of, and I feel like I'm a part of.
We're a huge part.
Yeah, and just to be able to communicate with Carlos on an any day basis is awesome, and get tips. I mean, I bug him. I'm such a techie guy. When I came to the Paratriathlon camp, Jamie Brown and Carlos was sitting up front. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, I do.
No one's really asking, and I'm the gearhead guy who's like, are the cadence principles of hand cycling the same as regular biking? Yes, and da-da-da-da-da. Okay, great. No one's asking any questions? And all these just gearhead questions about different aspects.
Of course.
Yeah.
But that's, that makes it normal, right? That makes it, you are racing. That's what we talk about all the time. The great thing about Ironman or triathlon, paratriathlon is you're just a geek in the sun like everybody else.
Yeah.
You're using a little different equipment, but getting to that finish line, it's the same thing. Right? Carlos always said that, give me a level playing field. Don't give me any special cutoff times. Just let me get out there and do my thing, and I will go out and kick ass and take names.
Yeah, there are times when I get a little tense, and I go, I'm doing an Ironman, baby. You got to be tough.
Absolutely.
Get on it. I remind myself of that sometimes.
So you went to Lubbock. Talk about hard, right? Because that's a qualifier for Kona and your qualifier for here. So it's usually 95 to 100 degrees. The wind is howling, and there's hills.
Yeah.
How was that experience?
My first year, it was one of the worst days in recent history. There's been worse days. However, it was 105 or 6 with 27 mile per hour sustained winds, so straight off the Texan plain.
Oh yeah, and there's not in the block.
And I'm in that hand cycle position, and it's just coming up under my sunglasses into my face for whatever number of hours I'm on the bike. And the last year I didn't even get onto the race chair. I was. But
that was before Carlos.
Right.
That was before training with Carlos. Yeah.
This year they changed the course. They brought it into town. They were out on a lake outside of Lubbock. Now they're in town, so it's a different course.
Yeah.
The hand cycle is actually, I'm not the hand cycle, the race chair is actually flat.
Wow.
It's on campus at Texas Tech.
That's very cool.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
There's a lot of it turns it into a technical one for us in race chairs for turning. There's a lot of turning. But it was cooler. It was like 95 degrees.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, I come from Central California, so that was my everyday training environment. So easier this year. Honestly, less competition. And it can be like that. Last year there was 6 of us. This year there was 2.
Nice.
Yeah. So all I had to do was finish.
And could you have gone to Kona if you wanted to?
I could.
But you knew Carlos felt it was too early.
Coaches said it's too early. You could go, but you'd probably be miserable. You're not ready yet.
Yeah, especially you were mentioning to me, because I'm like, God, the climbing here compared to Kona. I mean, Kona's a hard course, but this is brutal.
Yeah, when Bob said, Kona might be
a little easier. But the 2.4 swim was something you don't feel you're quite ready for.
I feel more comfortable doing a shorter swim and a harder bike.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah.
Than doing a longer swim at the beginning, like we said at the beginning of a race, doing a 2.4.
Yes.
Would probably wipe me out.
Yeah, and then it'd be really hard to do the bike ride, especially you go up Polani and all the rest of that. Yeah.
So next year.
But that's the goal. This journey that you're on now, talk a little bit about what it means to you to be back racing and feeling like, you know what, I'm freaking alive.
Yeah, for me, after I did 3 triathlons within a year of being in an accident, and then wintertime came, wintertime came in California. It's weird to say that because there's not really winter. However, I realized in January, New Year's came around, I said, I think I just went through a little bout of depression. I didn't realize it in the moment.
Yeah.
I said, I need to set some goals.
Yeah.
And it's really important. And like before I used to say, triathlon keeps me sexy, sane, and out of trouble.
Yeah.
The emphasis back then being on the sexy part. Now it's on the sane part.
Yes.
When I have that goal in front of me, it keeps me moving in all aspects of my life.
In terms of what Challenge Athletes Foundation has meant to you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, when I crashed, ironically, one of the people who was in my training group in my triathlon club worked for Alan Shankin. And as we all know, all roads in Northern California
lead through Shank. Yes.
And he sent me a text, she said, can he contact you? And I didn't know who he was. And I said, sure.
Of
and
course.
He said, we want to help you when you're ready. And I said,
I'm ready.
When would now be a good time? And, and then he and Meredith Kessler.
Yes.
Invited me to a ride-a-thon they do on
it's on the spin on the grass or whatever it was. Yeah.
And I did 4 hours in a hand cycle from Borp on a trainer with them. I didn't know how long I'd last.
Yeah.
Let's just see. I did all 4 hours, and it was amazing. And I think, to answer your question, the biggest thing is not only for me on the sane part, however, just the community has been huge. People rallied to me, and part of me getting all that equipment so quick was I was ashamed to, kind of put it out there to ask for help.
Yeah.
And as soon as I did, they put it all together in 5 weeks. And I had my gear in time for the camp. And the way my triathlon club, my friends and my family just all rallied around my cause showed me that, I have, not to sound like I'm huge, but I have a platform.
Totally.
And I when I was young, I was in karate, and I used to teach karate. And one of the things I learned there when I was 16 teaching little kids is that, I can have an influence. And what's that going to be? Is it going to be positive or negative? And I think that applied in that moment where I go, okay, I have a platform, and is it going to be for good, or is it going to be for me, or is it going to be for what? And to be plugged into and have people like Alan and yourself and CAF around, not only competing for themselves, but also being a part of this community and sharing with others. I have a couple. I met a kid with spina bifida.
Yes.
At Lubbock. He was just sitting around volunteering, and I rode past him a couple times, and I went and I said, "Hey, you racing?" And he goes, "No, my parents are racing. I'm hoping to get a race chair and whatnot." He just got his race chair. His name's Hendrick.
From CAF.
He just got his race chair in the last couple of weeks, and he's hitting me up on Instagram, asking me all kinds of questions about this and that and the other thing. I'm like, I love it. Let me tell you, I know all the I know all the gearhead stuff, buddy. And just and to share that with them,
absolutely,
is awesome. To know that a lot of people have poured into me to allow me to be here.
Exactly.
And to be able to do that for someone else is just a natural progression of the way it should be.
Love it. Rob Balucas here at Ironman 70.3 World Championship. How fun is that to see?
I'm
over the moon.
Beside myself. Yeah.
I love it.
It's amazing to be here.
Hey, thanks for being part of CAF.
Thank you for having me.
Love it. Rob Balucas has been our guest. Hold on, everybody. We will be right back.